Okay, let's do this.
That is why, without a shred of doubt, that Legend of Spyro is the worst video game reboot at... Wait, where the hell am I?
Well, that didn't work. I try to open up a portal to Tartarus, and I get a very naked monkey with clothes on.
Wait, a talking pony? Wait, I'm in Equestria? Okay, who are you?
I am Crimson Glow, your future evil overlord of all things pony, the anarchist that will dethrone the prince.
Okay, so Miss Overlord, or whatever you call yourself, got it. Hey, wait a minute, how are you doing that? You're not even a unicorn! I'm just gonna run away now. Whoa! Where the hell?
I'm going to kill you!
Wait, hang on there, Shrimp. Wasn't this tent just outside Ponyville a second ago?
Did you just call me a shrimp?
Why are we here? Oh, is the tent like the cutie map where it does certain shenanigans based on what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, except it does it just to irritate me.
Well, oh! Did the new episode of MLP come out that takes place in Apploosa?
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay, I thought the episode was awful.
I can see why, but I still think that it's okay.
Then let's compare opinions on the episode. Hooray for forced segues!
This episode starts out with Apple Bloom giving out
Exposition!
Well, that didn't take long.
This is a round where every pony gets their tail in a twist. This might feel like regression of their characters, especially after a great episode of their cutie marks in Bloom and Gloom.
And it doesn't help that we're getting another CMC episode shortly after Bloom and Gloom aired. Also, is Apploosa not allowed to have winter? I mean, we see that they do get rain and storms over there, so why not snow? You could argue that, oh, it's too hot over there, but hello! I think we've established that the Pegasi control the weather!
Well, you have to accommodate for the environment. Different places run differently in different areas. Let's look at Apploosa and...
Ugh.
Anyways, both are deserts, but one is on a mountainside with snow almost everywhere, while the other place has dirt, cacti, and more dirt.
And rocks. Lots and lots of rocks. But we digress. The plot of the story is that there's an infamous outlaw on the loose during the Apploosa Rodeo.
He lurks in the shadows, watching over the rodeos, waiting, watching, and oh, intro song! And oh, Applejack's relatives!
Oh, hi, Brayburn.
Brayburn actually has a personality? What?
Yeah, but that leads to one of the problems I have with this episode. Brayburn's new personality is terrible. What did they give him? Derpy and irresponsible. Really? This is the guy who's supposed to be one of the leaders of Apploosa with his apple orchard to feed the ponies who live there. And he can't even do some simple tasks like watching over the CMC. Okay, you know what? I can see where you're coming from. I wouldn't be able to handle them either.
Never call full sitting a simple job. It's not. It just isn't. With Brayburn before, he was just bipolar, going from happy Pinkie Pie to depressed Rarity in the span of 2 words. On top of that, taking care of an orchard, while not an easy task either, at least they stay in one place. It also seems like it wasn't really Brayburn's apple orchard to begin with, it was more like the town's.
I suppose I'll give you that much, but I have other problems with this episode too. Like, for example, why is the CMC acting like they learned nothing from previous episodes? I understand that they disobeyed and wandered off impulsively before, and I love the continuity nod to Scootaloo's fear of lightning in that one scene in the forest, but why is Sweetie Belle the only one acting in character in this episode?
Well, let's think about this. How often do the CMC wander off for fun? Like they travel somewhere for their own enjoyment, rather than for the problem or to help something with the problem.
The Equestria Games?
That was for a job, though, an event they auditioned for, something that they planned for. It's something I like to call tourist syndrome, where you think that just because you're here to have fun, you think you can do whatever you want.
If you're saying that the Equestria Games was only a job, then what do you call bounty hunting for an outlaw? That's what they're doing right now, isn't it? Bounty hunting?
Well, after Applejack hears about the outlaw and sees the damage that can be caused by this outlaw whose name is...
Promo Shoes.
His name is...
Promo Shoes.
Don't you start. After Applejack learns about the outlaw, she tells the CMC to go home and even thinks that she should go home herself. To which Brayburn volunteers to watch them. Like he's so good at doing that! This is where I think a really amazing reference could have been placed in this episode, and that would have been funny as hey! Can you guess what it is?
Something tells me you're confusing me for someone savvy in the art of the meme.
It is not a meme, it is a reference.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Go figured we'd reference something else Lauren Faust had a hand in making.
This is a lost opportunity for a joke, which is upsetting but not a horrible dent on the episode overall.
Oh well, regardless, here's my problem with Brayburn front and center. I mean, really? You're gonna fall asleep? That's the oldest cliche in the book, writers.
Brayburn in this episode is probably better as a front and center character than Applejack was in this episode, but more on that later. For now, we follow the CMC to do imitation bounty hunting.
Which leads them to meeting Troubleshoes and... Okay, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. Troubleshoes is boring! I understand that the moral is take your weakness and turn it into a strength, but I'm sorry! A moral is only as good as the character receiving the lesson from it, and Troubleshoes just isn't interesting. Aside from his love of the rodeo and his special talent, what do we know about him?
That he's much taller than other ponies, that he is more of a horse than a pony, that he's most likely an orphan based on the fact that his parents don't watch him at all.
Those are all traits and quirks. What do we know about him as a character?
Repetitive dialogue, which include bad luck in some way or form. He's, again, very pessimistic, but very excitable around rodeos, which we then see a much happier pony, horse, thing. He's also very nice, and unlike most of the main cast, actually takes responsibility for what he's done when it's literally a series of accidents. Unlike Rainbow Dash last episode, who didn't even go up to Cloudsdale to fix the destruction she caused. But I can see what you mean when you say that he's boring. Well, with such repetitive dialogue and a monotone voice. He seems like a horse Eeyore, which is neither entertaining by himself nor interesting. Though I will say that upon first watching, this scene made me laugh so hard.
Points for old Troubleshoes. Typical.
Oh, the pain of others is such a joy. And I also think this is where the episode shines a bit more. Not more than Thanks for the Memories, but definitely better than other such episodes that have done slapstick comedy before. Way to show the Looney Tunes, MLP!
But this is MLP! Its brand of humor was just fine. Why does it need to resort to such a tired slapstick premise?
This coming from you.
Get over here! Don't run! I want to be a friend! Yoink!
What? Hey, wait a second!
Shut up! Why am I still alive?
Shadow Force, bitch!
We don't speak of the dark times.
Anyway, we get to know
Promo Shoes.
Past, discovering that it's something of a series of unfortunate events. Why is Jim Carrey here?
It's okay, Crimson. It can't hurt you.
After the backstory, Applebloom then starts to put the pieces together with Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo. Some viewers might question why he never thought of this before, but you have to remember that once you're in a certain mindset, it's really hard to get out of that mindset. Thinking that you're doomed to bad luck from the start is just something that I can believe is hard to just shake off. But oh no, TS is arrested! Which the adults, understandably, are not listening to the children, and for some reason Applejack leaves Brayburn with the CMC again. This is kinda what bothers me about characterization with Applejack in this episode. She's the most sensible out of the main six, so why would she trust him with the kids if she knows Brayburn won't keep track of them? Even after that, in the morning, Applejack leaves the CMC alone by themselves, with no one watching them whatsoever, which is basically the same thing as Brayburn doing the same thing.
Also, quick note, why did Sweetie Belle take the keys from the jail if they were just going to call the sheriff away anyways?
Well, that is something that bothers some people, but let's think about it like this. The sheriff seems pretty competent about his job, so wouldn't a competent sheriff be able to notice that the keychain is unlocking the jail cell by itself, especially with how loud it was?
That's the thing, though. They could have had the sheriff go to the haystacking thing and then take the keys. They didn't have to go Metal Gear Pony on them. It was a needless extra step.
And I do agree, but it's also nice to see Sweetie Belle's lessons working out fairly well. You also have to put into account that unicorns tend to use their magic for everything, and they also love to do it as much as they can, with such things like making dresses or even reading, which is something they can easily just do with their hooves. So maybe this is just Sweetie Belle's way of adapting to that mentality, or maybe the animators and writers wanted to show her progression, or they just done goof.
I guess that's a fair enough excuse.
So the CMC dress up TS into a rodeo clown outfit and send him off to his merry way. And even you have to admit this is glorious.
Aim to clear that there hoop. Come on now.
The carnage, the brutality, the magic! It makes me feel sadistically alive! So,
What's with the eye thing? I know I have it too, but that's because I'm a unicorn.
you're not a unicorn.
I guess it's understandable for you to think that. I am a unicorn, but my horn never grew in the womb, so my hooves act as my horn. This is also why, when it comes to magic, I'm more physical with my hooves. It's also why they're so exposed all the time.
Huh. And yet you use dark magic. Never mind. So yes, slapstick hijinks ensues, the makeup comes off, everyone wants to mob him, and okay, I will admit, the angry mob jokes in this episode are hilarious.
And then we get to see that TS is getting punished for his crimes, and then the CMC reap what they sow for sneaking off. And that's where we get the moral.
Turns out I was just looking at my cutie mark all wrong.
And end with a Big Mac joke, and then we go to credits.
So, in conclusion, I still hate it.
I think this episode was okay. Did it have its problems? Oh, by Sombra, yes. The pacing seemed fine, but for this episode there was a lot of exposition. There was some out-of-character moments from Applejack that bothered me a little more than the CMC's out-of-character moments did. And lastly,
Promo shoes.
is a bit dull. But, to me at least, it seems to even itself out with a great backstory, the lesson, and the execution of that lesson as well as the comedy.
I suppose that's a bit fair, but Seriously, there could have been a far more effective moral here by giving this problem to someone more interesting than baby's first Eeyore here.
Don't mess with Eeyore. I like Oh, cookies! Nom nom nom.
Crimson?
Apple strudel
Hello?
cookies. Nom nom nom.
I'm
nom,
still
nom,
here in
nom.
Equestria, you know.
Nom, nom,
I'm
nom.
the Wizard of
Apple
the
strudel
Terribad, and
cookies. Nom, nom,
how the
nom,
fuck
nom, nom.
do I get out of here?
I'm your future evil overlord, Crimson Glow, and may the core be with you.
What does that even mean?
Hey every pony, Crimson Glow here, and I have not watched the new season premiere yet.